This episode of Trestle Tactics is proudly presented by Gordon Food Service.
Welcome to Trestle Tactics, a tips from Trestle Short. We wanted to know what's going to make our podcasts more valuable to you. And the answers were simple. You want easy to implement tactics and strategies that will let you create an outstanding experience around your senior living food and hospitality programming. So let's dive in right now on today's Trestle Tactics. Welcome back to Trestle Tactics. On last week's episode, Carrie Serrano and Jessica Hogue from Gordon Food Service introduced us to the first 3 of the 7 wastes. This week, they're going to give us the last 4 of the wastes. So I'm excited to welcome back Carrie and Jessica. So take it away, ladies.
Okay, the 4th waste that we're talking about today in Timwood is the W, and that is waiting. And the waste of waiting is waiting for that next step so that the work can actually be done. So Jess is going to share an example with us.
Well, we really have probably a couple of examples. I think that anyone who's ever worked in any food service establishment can say, yep, I've seen this many of times. And I think it comes back to like maybe a lack of processes, or just not even a lack of processes, a lack of maybe evaluating the processes and making them better. So one example that I see is workers can usually get things done quicker than we anticipate. So then they're waiting for the meal service. So if we've got everyone, the staff cooking all of the food, and then the food is sitting in a warmer or even on the tray line, and they still have an hour before service. So what are some things that we can do to maybe mitigate that? Another example that I see a lot is somebody who is the dedicated dishwasher. They are standing waiting for the dishes to come back after a meal service. And they're doing what they were hired to do. They're doing their job, but instead of having that waiting, is there something else that can be done that's more valuable, that doesn't lead to this backup of, okay, so all the dishes are coming at the same time. Your dishwasher is having to work overtime because they are unable to get them all done in an efficient manner. So we really think through this one as far as processes and procedures and evaluating. It's going to mean going into your operations and seeing how things are flowing and not being afraid to make that better.
Okay, so next one in the 7 wastes is overproduction. And this one's a big one. Producing more than needed. Overproduction is probably the leading cause of food waste in food service establishments. And so I'm going to let Jessica take this one. She's got some great examples.
So we do see this in probably many of our customer visits that we're doing. Overproduction is the leading cause of food waste in food service establishments, because I just did a food service training to one of our groups, and that was one of the questions that I quizzed them on. And the reason it's so common is because people do not want to run out of food, which is a very valid concern. So they prepare just a few extra servings because just in case, what if they run out? But we have really good examples of how this can lead to just excessive money that's going down the drain because this food is ended up being wasted. So this specific example was just due to the layout of the dining rooms. There was food served in 3 different areas, all cooked in the kitchen and then dispersed to the different serving lines. So it was close to the end of the serving, and the main kitchen was out of chicken tenders. And so they went ahead and they dropped a whole new batch of them for the remaining plates. There was only probably 10 remaining plates that were needed. And if they had went out to the dining room that was doing one set of servings, they would have seen that they were already finished serving their group, and they had an abundance of leftover chicken tenders that they could have used on those plates. They didn't need to drop the extra batch of chicken tenders, and it would have saved on excessive leftovers that again, over time adds up to quite a bit of money over the course of the year. So some people might say, well, if it's only like 5 servings, but if you're doing that breakfast, lunch, dinner for 365 days, it adds up easily. So this is definitely one of the most common wastes. And again, the way to kind of work around that is communication and making sure that you're cooking exactly what you need.
And that's where using those production sheets, advanced prep can really help. Waste in senior living is somewhere between like 17 to 20%. And so, like just said, that example was perfect. It's just relooking at your processes to see where can we do some staff training on production sheets or as simple as communication, right? I
Yep.
mean, to make sure that they know that they can tap in to get those leftovers maybe in a different kitchen. Um,
At the heart of every successful kitchen, there's a secret ingredient: Gordon Food Service. For over 125 years, Gordon Food Service has been delivering excellence, quality, and innovation to food service operations across North America. From fresh produce to premium meats, our in-house brands offer the high quality and flavor your kitchen needs. We don't just deliver food, we deliver experiences. Our products help you create memorable meals that keep customers coming back. With innovative tools and solutions, managing your business has never been easier. Manage your business whenever, wherever, and however you want with Gordon Now. The team of experts at Gordon Food Service is here to support you every step of the way, from menu planning to marketing strategies. At Gordon Food Service, we believe in the power of community. That's why we support initiatives that drive innovation and sustainability. Join the thousands of food service professionals who trust Gordon Food Service to help them succeed. Gordon Food Service, delivering culinary excellence.
So the scientist is O in Timwood is overprocessing. And that is doing more than what customers want or need. And in senior living really would be more than what our residents want or need. So I'm going to pass this over to Carrie to share her real life example.
I think that's a great way to start off, and especially with the changing world of senior living and what our residents are looking for out of a dining experience is they want a lot of options, but it also can create a lot of waste. And so in this example, this customer had a very extensive, complex, always available menu in addition to their daily special. And so just in conversation with the customer, I kind of saw that 15 plus items on their always available menu. And just from a quick glance, anybody can really pick up on that there wasn't a lot of like cross utilization with the item. And so we've talked about some other ways. So this one actually is an example of a few of those, but they were tying up a lot of products in inventory because they had to have them on hand. But they were also over processing because their menu was too complex for their residents and for their staff to prepare. And so when I asked them, what's your process? Are these popular? Do you monitor how many orders you're getting from your residents from this always available menu? And the answer was, no, we've just always done it this way. And I think that was very truthful in that we're afraid of change and that processes don't get looked at, especially since COVID. It's something that we're seeing a lot of operators get back into. But a good practice for this to avoid that over processing waste is to review that popularity of the items, also reviewing the cost of those items. So, like this customer in particular had a commodity item that was seeing some different, trends in pricing. And so, if that item not being served, but it's on the menu, they do need to have it in inventory and be ready to prepare it should a resident request it. But they could have removed that item while that cost was a little bit higher and offered something else or looked for ways to streamline it, maybe put it in their cycle menu instead. So this is just a reminder that yes, you want to have those products and you do want to have the different variety in your menu, but also making sure it's not too complex that you're over processing and wasting. Okay, we've made it to our final waste of the 7 wastes, and this is defects. And defects are managing the effort to fix errors or defects in processes, product, people, you name it. So Jess is going to share an example.
Yeah. So when we look at this specific way, we looked at serving food items that was just prepared incorrectly, to be quite blunt. Where are the recipes? So I was actually conducting a fresh eyes audit and in one of our customers, and they were cooking what looked to me like barbecue chicken. And they utilize our cycle menu management, which provides standardized recipes. They can obviously make changes, but I kept thinking to myself, it just doesn't really seem like a recipe that we have. It just seems kind of like a little just barbecue chicken, and just chicken and adding some barbecue sauce. So we went to our cycle menu management and actually looked up the menu they were on, the day, and what the actual recipe called for. So they did not follow a specific recipe. They just made the chicken, poured the barbecue sauce on it. When reviewing that, the recipe actually called for pineapple tidbits, sweet and sour sauce, and fresh diced green peppers. The chicken was actually supposed to be deep fried, not baked, and it would have been an entirely different dish had the cooks followed the actual recipe. And I do believe that the residents would have been a lot happier because there would have been color on the plate and there just would have been a good variety. It would have been something different. So that's a really great example and just a friendly reminder to make sure that your staff is properly trained on following the recipe and looking ahead and seeing what is kind of the expectation based on the menu.
Thanks again, Carrie and Jessica, for sharing the 7 wastes of lean management. Be sure to stay tuned to Trestle Tactics as we continue talking about lean management next week as I introduce the 5 whys process in lean management. We'll see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Trestle Tactics. Be sure to like and subscribe on any of our channels, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you listen to us. Also, be sure to follow us on any of your social media channels at Tips from Trestle. Well, thanks for joining us on this episode of Trestle Tactics.